Hey everyone, and welcome. So, if you're an iOS dev, you know the feeling, right? Trying to manage a bunch of background tasks at once can feel a lot like herding cats. Well, today, we're going to change all that. We are diving into a really powerful tool from Apple's Grand Central Dispatch. You know, their framework for handling all this concurrent stuff. It's called the DispatchGroup, and it's going to make your life so much easier. Let's get into it. So let me just ask you straight up, what do you do when you need to kick off, say, 3 different network requests, but you can't show anything to the user until every single one of them is finished? It's a super common problem, and it can get messy fast. Just picture this scene. You've probably coded it a dozen times. A user taps on their profile. So now you need to load their profile data, you need to fetch their latest posts, and you need to download their new avatar. And you need all of that to happen before you can actually show the screen. Without some kind of coordinator, it's just chaos. How do you possibly know when that last task is finally done? Well, this is where our hero of the day steps in. Let's meet the super elegant solution to all this coordination headache, the dispatch group. So what is this thing really? Think of a dispatch group like a race coordinator at a marathon. You tell it about all the runners you have in the race. Those are your background tasks. And it just waits. It keeps track, and it will not fire the finish line cannon until every last runner has crossed the line. This gives us that single, reliable point of completion that we've been looking for. Okay, that sounds fantastic in theory, but how do we actually, use it in our code? Let's break down the mechanics. And trust me, it's way more straightforward than you might think. It really just boils down to these 3 simple steps. First, you create a new dispatch group. Easy. Second, for each task you're going to run, you tell the group about it. And third, you use this magic little function called notify to give it a chunk of code that will only run once every single one of those tasks is complete. Now, when it comes to adding tasks, you've got 2 main ways to do it. There's the manual way, where you call group.enter right before your task starts, and then you must remember to call group.leave when it's done. If you forget leave, your whole app will just wait forever. But there's a much better, cleaner, safer way. Just wrap your code in a group.async block. It automatically handles the enter and leave for you. Honestly, for almost every situation, this is the one you want to use. All right, this tool is obviously powerful, but you got to know the rules of the road to use it safely. So let's cover a couple of crucial do's and don'ts to make sure you don't accidentally shoot yourself in the foot. So listen up, because this is the big one. You might see a function on the group called wait. And yeah, it does what it sounds like. It pauses or blocks the current thread until all the tasks are done. But here's the deal. You should almost never, ever use this on the main thread. Why? Because the main thread is what runs your UI. If you block it, your entire app freezes. It becomes unresponsive, it's a terrible user experience, so just don't do it. So instead of waiting, your best friend is notify. The notify block is guaranteed to run only after the last task finishes up. That makes it the absolute perfect place to gather up all your results and, most importantly, update your UI. And just remember, when you do update the UI, you always tell it to notify you back on the main queue. That keeps everything snappy and safe. Okay, enough theory. Where are you actually going to use this day to day? Let's talk about some real-world scenarios where dispatch groups are an absolute game changer. I mean, think about it. You can fire off a whole bunch of API requests at once and then process all the data when it's back. Or maybe you need to download a bunch of images in parallel before showing a gallery. It's also awesome for things like complex image processing, where you run a few different filters at the same time and then combine them. Basically, anytime you've got a bunch of separate tasks that all lead to one final action, a dispatch group is what you're looking for. So when you put it all together, what have we really learned here? Well, you've basically just unlocked a new superpower for handling all that messy asynchronous code. The real beauty of this is just how clean and organized your code becomes. You get this incredibly reliable way to coordinate parallel tasks. No more weird Boolean flags, no more crazy nested callbacks, what developers call pyramid of doom, just a really clear, simple way to say, hey, go run all this stuff and just let me know when you're done. It turns a really complex problem into something that's actually readable and easy to maintain. And that really brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. Now that you've got this awesome tool in your toolkit, now that you know how to tame all those asynchronous tasks, what are you going to build? What are those cool, complex features you've been putting off because the coordination just seemed too hard? Well, now it's simple. So go build something amazing.